Our firm represents some of America's last best places, and stewards of these lands are the true conservation heroes. They have trusted us to show their property's unique intrinsic value, monetize that value through a sale, and see to it that the next landowner will protect the legacy they've built. For over 30 years, we've served this specialized niche, building it into what it is today. We go beyond the role of a land broker and earned our reputation as trusted advisors. One of our differences is our short film series, where we celebrate the land steward and tell the land story. Today's focus is not only about the land, but about the landowners and managers that steward over it. When one drives through Red Hills, most are in awe of its beauty, but few know the backstory on why these lands were preserved or the economics that keep it this way. Of these select landowners, there are the elite. Those who have the skills, knowledge, and bankroll to take great land and build it to a whole other level. With the knowledge first gained by Herbert Stoddard and scientifically demonstrated today by Tall Timbers, these landowners improve and restore habitat, build lakes and roads, plant oak alleys, and build infrastructure improving the land for both today and the next generation. Today's story is about one of Tallahassee's most valuable properties, the western half of the 7,500 acres known as River Ridge. We are going to take you on a never-before-seen look at one of the most manicured and improved quail plantations in America. This 3,700 acres is strategically located just 13 miles north of downtown Tallahassee, 26 miles from Thomasville, and just 3 miles west of Tall Timbers itself, in the epicenter of wild quail and convenience. It controls both sides of the western bank of the Ocklawaha River, and both sides of Shaw Creek flow through it for a mile, providing Park Lake, pristine hardwood bottoms the lakes few have ever seen. Springs, creeks, and water are located throughout. One will see a 33-acre lake, one of the largest private lakes in the region, as well as an 8.5-acre lake, making this a year-round property. You're going to see wing shooting as good as it gets. You'll see a 12-acre natural duck pond, gum sloughs full of wood ducks, a 20-acre dove field, and of course, world-class wild quail. The wild turkey population here is famed throughout the region and managed for trophy status. It has consistently produced some of the largest gobblers to have ever been harvested in the Red Hills. The deer hunting is exceptional, has been managed on a trophy basis for decades. What you'll also notice is the way the entire property has been meticulously maintained for aesthetics. You see, they have their own nursery and contract grow everything from wiregrass to magnolias. Thousands of live oaks and pine have been limb pruned, and there's both an oak and magnolia alley. From whatever angle the landowner looks, the property is managed to be both beautiful and easy to maintain. I've been specialized in this niche for over 30 years and can say with all confidence that no other place has a management team, experience, and budget to beautify 3,700 acres like this. While the ecosystems, wildlife, and natural beauty push perfection status, concurrently, Florida's sleeping volcano of growth is pushing too. Higher and better use it's called, and this property is exposed to a future major change. Unlike 50% of the Red Hills plantation, it is not yet protected by a conservation easement. You see, sadly, every one of North Tallahassee's neighborhoods was once a recreational property too. Without the protections of a conservation easement, this property too will rise in value such that it is no longer practical for its current use. However, we will show if done right, this property will prove to be one of the most valuable conservation easement or generational wealth opportunities ever to be in this region. Walter and I are proud to announce not only a great quail plantation, but also one of the greatest wealth building opportunities of the decade. Welcome to River Ridge West. One of the things that differentiates the Red Hills is its people. The folks here not only share a prescribed fire ethic, but it's deeply enshrined into our social fabric. Tall Timbers is the undisputed leader, and the chairman of his board is our longtime friend, George Simmons. George is one of thousands of folks that are passionate about this lifestyle and collectively have turned the Red Hills into a national role model for fire-restored ecosystems. It just so happens that he also has a long-standing relationship with the quail, ducks, and turkey on River Ridge West. You're going to hear in his own voice the reverence and love he has for this land. The fact that this is one of the places that he personally hunts speaks volumes about this property.
My name is George Simmons. I'm a veterinarian in Tallahassee, and I've had the honor of being out here on this piece of property, which has accumulated purchases over the past 18 years, and we've had it under pretty intensive quail management from the habitat standpoint. It doesn't matter how much supplemental feeding or predator control you do, you got to have the habitat right, and that would include burning in a mosaic pattern and following the Tall Timbers model of exemplary land stewardship, which is burning in patches instead of burning the whole place, burning every other year, so a 2-year rotation. And getting the habitat right is the first ingredient in a successful equation to having quail, and there are quail here. We supplemental feed, and we're going to go a little bit this afternoon, see what we can scare up. This piece lies about 5 or 6 miles due west of Tall Timbers proper. Between us is the very important watershed of the Ochlockonee River, so it's an important piece from a conservation standpoint. Tall Timbers holds over 160,000 acres in conservation easements in the Red Hills area. Twice that much is protected by other entities other than Tall Timbers, so we've got over 300,000 acres that are protected, and this is a real key piece to that component. It being that close to Tall Timbers, practicing exemplary land stewardship is super important, and this from a watershed standpoint only is an ideal piece to have under a conservation easement. A lot of that's been done here already, but this being that close to Tall Timbers, it'd be a great piece to have Tall Timbers assist management and follow the quail handbook, which was written by the president of Tall Timbers, Bill Palmer, and Clay Sisson from the Albany area. And if you follow the handbook and take assistance from the fantastic management team at Tall Timbers, then you've got yourself rock stars that can make this place a real show place. There's not much left to do on the habitat, and that's the hardest part of the ingredient. You can double your quail numbers by supplemental feeding, and so simply by ramping up that supplemental feeding to where you're doing it once every 2 weeks is not a large percentage of your quail budget, but it can produce a lot of quail. And so in a good year, you can double your quail population by supplemental feeding, especially through the spring and summer when those hens are getting fat and getting ready to have broods. The Ochlockonee River is the eastern border of this property, and it has a plethora of sloughs that hold a lot of wood ducks. And as anybody from this area knows, those sloughs on the Ochlockonee River are gonna hold wood ducks, and it's a fantastic opportunity for wood duck hunting. There is one pond that's got ducks on. Even on a dry year, there'll be water in it, and it'll attract ringnecks, and we've had some pretty good ringneck and wood duck shooting there. It's only 20 minutes from my hospital, and so Tallahassee is very close, and a lot of properties are located way out in the middle of nowhere. This thing is right close to town, so there are a lot of benefits to that. I can remember even with quail hunting, right where we were standing, the dogs pointed, and my sons were with me, and Travis, and they each killed a bird, and just from right here. So everywhere I go out here, I see a different place. We were set up on turkeys, or we had a cubby rise, or I'm flooded with memories riding across this piece of property, and I think that's what being a landowner is all about.
One of the blessings of this career is knowing and working with folks who have dedicated their lives to these lands. They're true leaders. Few people garner as much respect or know more about the land and its management than our own Walter Hatchett. He is a legend in this niche. I remember the first time I met him like it was yesterday, and working with him is truly an honor. It's no surprise he has earned the highest recognition our industry offers, the Apex Award, numerous times, and consistently ranks among the top 20 land brokers in all of America. Today, he is not only offering spot-on real estate advice, but he has been an integral part of managing River Ridge West for almost 3 decades.
This property It's real special to my heart. I go way back with this property, probably over 20 years. My family spent a lot of time over here. My kids grew up on this property, and so it really brings back a lot of memories. We were down there at the camp house on the lake today, and had some old deer heads in there that I saw that were back in the early 1990s. But just brought back a lot of memories. Some turkeys in there mounted, and this place is just a really cool place. It's very diverse in that it's got river bottoms down on the Ocklawaha River, which is just absolutely loaded with game, loaded with wildlife, turkeys in particular. And I can't tell you how many really quality deer we've seen here today. We saw absolutely a giant buck here in a food plot here this morning with a doe. You know, another food plot we pull up to this morning, you know, right after daylight, there's probably 30 turkeys. I don't know how many gobblers in a big bunch. I think had just flown down out of a creek bottom there into the food plot. And, you know, you ride around and, you know, it's got a lot of wild birds. We're over there on a natural duck pond. There's some ringnecks coming in, a big, beautiful kind of flat pond there, some wood ducks and ringnecks coming in. So it's just very diverse property. Yeah, I go so far back with this property that when we started developing some of these properties, you know, 20 years plus, you know, we planted so many trees over here. I helped hand plant, you know, huge camellias over here that are right here in the yard now. A lot of these big live oaks that we planted on the property were giant oak trees that we planted, really raised them in a nursery and transplanted them over here 20 plus years ago to form these oak alleys there on the property, magnolia alleys, you know, a lot of the, you know, from the wiregrass to, you know, a lot of the long leaves that we planted back here, you know, God, decades ago, are just really cool to see now. So this place, I don't know what it is, really. You know, everybody talks about deer genetics. Well, you know, I've talked to a number of biologists that talk about turkey genetics too. So there's some turkeys up and down this river corridor here that are unbelievable. You know, I'm a avid turkey hunter, have been really all my life. And really, you know, people talk about all kind of, you know, beards and everything like that. The really only thing that matters to me is spurs. So it was back, they have there's an event here, fundraiser for Tall Timbers here, and it's for their wild game bird program. And a couple friends of ours started what they call the Georgia-Florida Invitational. I think it's going on 18 or 19 years now. And so basically it's the spurs times 10, the beard times 2, and then they just have a Calcutta for the weight. The first year they ever had it, me and Travis Sherman, the gentleman that manages property now, it's a team partnership. And so we were one team over here. Anyway, I ended up killing a bird the first hunt, you know, it's a one-day hunt. And we found a bird over here that we thought was exceptional. Well, he turned out to be very exceptional. The biggest bird I've ever killed. He had 1 7/8" spurs, by far the biggest bird I've ever killed. And I'm not 1,000%, you know, for sure, but I've kind of have been lucky enough to win that thing several times, Travis and I have, over the years. But it's still, I think, the biggest turkey that's ever been killed with that event with the 1 7/8" spurs. But I can't tell you how many turkeys that Travis and I and Mr. Dahl and his guests and all that we've killed up and down this river corridor here that have had 1.5 inches is pretty common. 1 3/4 inches, not every day, but you can darn sure bet you can kill a gobbler here with 1 3/4 inch spur. I've hunted a lot of places, but this area right up and down this river corridor here is man, it's well known for having really good quality turkey hunting.
I've known Reagan Sherman since before she could carry a shotgun. She reminds me of a modern combination of Annie Oakley with a passion for the land of Scarlett O'Hara. Imagine receiving the gift of growing up with a 7,500-acre backyard.
Well, I'm 20 years old and I was, born and raised out here. My dad's managed it for probably pushing 30 years now, and as long as I can remember, this has been my home. I killed my first deer over here. I was 6 years old, and then the next spring I killed my first turkey over here as well. And just really seeing the wildlife and watching this place grow, and I've grown up with it, and seeing these pines and everything. I watched my dad plant them when I was a child, and now they're reaching the sky, and it's just crazy. And I've loved fishing this place, and hiking around and seeing the ridges and walking through the bottoms and jumping big bucks, and it's home. And I want to see it go to somebody who's going to take advantage of the beauty and everything it has to offer. I did my first time frog gigging, was over here, gigging bullfrogs on an airboat. That was a pretty exciting time. And I'd say there's probably 8 or 9 birds that have been taken off this place that have either placed or won that tournament for tall timbers, and there's just a lot of history here. As you can see walking around here, I remember being a kid walking out here with the owner and his 3 dogs, and he'd be on the phone with a business call and with loppers in his hand, and if there was a magnolia with a shanked out limb, he'd flip it and we'd move on to the next. And you look around and there'd be bucket trucks out here. If there was one pine tree with a weird limb or with a dead limb, it was gone the next day. And it's just, he had a real knack for keeping this place pruned so well. And one of my favorite memories is I was probably about 8 years old, and I had no idea what a natural spring was. And my daddy and I, we were walking around. I think we were deer hunting, and walked over a ridge, and there's this big puddle of crystal clear blue water, and he's here, take a sip of it. And I drank water out of the ground, which as a child, everything is it's more beautiful than it is. I mean, you just have fresh eyes and haven't seen the rest of the world. And seeing that spring that morning, it's something that I've remembered for my entire life. And there's so many of them out here, and just little pieces of the land like that have really stuck in my mind, and things that I'm going to miss. And I would like to see someone find this place and really continue with that legacy, and keep it as beautiful as it is, and take advantage of all the different aspects that this place has to offer. Fishing's great. I've caught me a few, probably 8+ pounders in here before. This place offers just some of the best land and animals and timber in this area. I tell you what, hunting the ducks over here, I love jump shooting ducks. It's the adrenaline, and walking through in the morning in the cold, getting all wet, and jumping ducks, and having to get your gun up as fast as you can, and watching them fall. I'd say that when I was really little, before we had this gorgeous 20-acre dove field, we had probably a 10-acre dove field, and we call it the Old Dove Field, and it's on the north end of the property. And my grandfather, back when he was alive, my mother's dad, and he's from Crawfordville. He was one of the best outdoorsmen I've ever met in my life. Just a real role model. Taught me how to hunt. Taught my dad how to hunt. We used to bring him out here, and he was the first person I really dove hunted with. I couldn't shoot at the time. I would just go get his birds, and I'd bring them back. I'd throw them in the bucket, and I just remember sitting on his lap and watching these birds come in, and just spending that time with my grandfather. We lost him when I was about 7 years old, and I remember those times from when I was 4 years old, sitting in the dove field. And it's just, this place holds so many memories like that for me that I'll never be able to forget it. Forevermore I'll have these memories, and want to share down to my kids and my future husband and my family. The gift that I was given to be able to grow up here, I truly wish that every kid was able to have that experience, and to be able to learn how to run around barefoot and be tough, and hunt and fish and spend the time out here in the woods. And there's so many kids that they don't get those experiences, and it's truly just an amazing gift to receive and to have and to learn from.
For 3 generations, my family's been brokering land in Florida. One thing is for sure, while Florida has its growth cycles, for every ebb the next high has always gone on to exceed that, and then set values that most thought were previously unobtainable. Today's flight to Florida is unlike anything anyone could have imagined. While many states are reeling in debt, Florida is increasingly prosperous. With this comes a unique opportunity to capitalize on this growth, while at the same time further preserving the land. Through a conservation easement, one can simply harvest today's increased development value while achieving almost everything else one would want to do. There are easements like mine that I donated to Tall Timbers, and there are some that actually pay the landowner through various programs offered by the state of Florida. No one knows more about navigating the various opportunities for being paid for unused development rights and how to get things done in Tallahassee than our friend John Steverson. We go back almost 20 years to the first easement we sold at Oldfields, which was a site of a prehistoric city. For the development rights on that 1,000 acres, the landowner received around $4,000 an acre, and we went on to complete several more great deals since then. If you're looking to learn more about opportunities to monetize your development rights through programs the state of Florida has to offer, he is your guide.
John Steverson with Holland & Knight here in Tallahassee, former Secretary for the Department of Environmental Protection, former Executive Director of the Northwest Florida Water Management District, have worked with all water management districts in the state, worked for 3 different governors spanning different administrations in environmental capacities, love to be outside, love things all conservation outdoors. My career has been based on preserving Florida's wild outdoors. Florida is definitely leading the nation in purchase conservation easements. What the legislature has come to realize is that the conservationist landowner is truly the best manager of those properties. And we are seeing historic levels of funding back to when the program first began in the late 1990s and early 2000s. At the time, that focus was on fee simple purchases, purchasing the property outright. The state realized there was so much involved in the management of these properties. You've seen the shift to the property owner having their development rights purchased, but maintaining that land in perpetuity for future generations of conservationists. When you look at a tract like River Ridge West, you have high quality watershed protection for the Ochlockonee River. You have a large contiguous landmass, which is hard to find anymore, especially in this area of Northwest Florida. Also, you have long-term preservation and conservation for an area that's seeing quite a bit of growth as a bedroom community for Tallahassee and the greater area. One of the things that I can help you do is monetize that property, yet extend your conservation goals and make sure that you can maintain that property for you and your family and future generations to continue to enjoy it while not losing the value by being the last green space. River Ridge West has a great possibility for all types of different monetization of your conservation goals. That particular property with its riverine systems would be of high value to the Department of Environmental Protection. It's a large land mass that's also facing development potential from the surrounding areas, a bedroom community for Tallahassee, a growing Gadsden County. You could also pursue a conservation easement through Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, which is known as Rural and Family Lands, who are very friendly to silviculture type operations, which that property is primed for. It also has the possibility of mitigation potential through the Florida Wildlife Conservation Commission, which you could mitigate for gopher tortoises. That property has huge potential to monetize and meet your conservation goals. There's so many opportunities for the conservation-minded property owner here within the state of Florida. All the conservation easement programs, all the mitigation programs that are available to you, you have the ability to monetize your property, yet maintain that for your family and future generations and for the wildlife of this great state.
John is right. One can look at the trend and see that almost every development in North Tallahassee was at one time a quail plantation. The only thing that permanently stops Florida's sleeping volcano of development is a conservation easement. Sometimes a win is a compromise. It's hard to believe that it's been almost 20 years since a partner and I purchased the 975-acre Centerville Farms to protect it from development. We paid $15,000 an acre and then placed 70% of it under a conservation easement and created one of Florida's first, if not only, fire-managed conservation community. Today, it's a role model for smart growth, and the value of these 200 home sites is now over $40,000 per acre. What's notable is Centerville is just 11 miles north of downtown, and River Ridge West is just 13. While today, one can buy this property for quail plantation prices, I guarantee that won't always be the case. This opportunity is right for a smart investor to come in, use Centerville and others as comps, and simply monetize this additional value through a conservation easement. Essentially, this reminds me of the old days when folks would buy land and then find out the timber value alone was close to paying for the land. Another key benefit this property has going for it is its social storm attributes. This is the term we trademarked over a decade ago when we first recognized this new asset class. These are places where people seek out for safety and security in bad times and recreation and enjoyment, good times. Back then, aside from those that shared a biblical worldview, most never considered they would need a place to go in a pandemic, war, or social unrest. Sadly, in today's world, everyone does. The social storm property score here is exceptionally good, providing this property with additional benefits whereby it will increase in value in both good times and bad. A perfect hedge for today's uncertain financial world. The wealth and appreciation of the merciful timber stored here is safer than in any bank. The freedom and independence this property offers is sadly foreign to most Americans today. There are springs, creeks, and water everywhere, and the crime here is almost non-existent. A smart person wants to find wealth as the ability to help others at the time of their sickness or need. To be able to offer friends and family a place like this to spend the next pandemic or worse is the definition of true wealth. We hope you've enjoyed this inside look at River Ridge West. Our short films go well above and beyond the role of a land broker, but sharing the story of this property and what the landowner has accomplished here is worth that effort. We're not your typical broker. We are advisors to this niche with a fervent work ethic and here to help you too with your land needs. We have the benefit of early in our career being mentored by some of the titans of the financial world. They shared with us the secrets of investing in recreational land, which when fast forward to today and applied to our Rolodex, marketing, and passion is the key to our difference. We share this knowledge every day, which has led us to closing an average of $500,000 a day, 7 days a week, with some properties now with an unheard of 4 and 5 times in our career. Specializing matters, and by dedicating our career to serving others, we're only one call away from helping you too be successful in this niche.